session. Okay. With that, I'll get started. This meeting is being recorded, so everybody will get a notice saying we are recording the session. If there's a problem, please let us know. Hi, I'm Naveen Bhatt, co-founder of 25 Years More. Some of our founding members are in the group. And most of you know that we have been running a webinar series starting in 2025. We did about, I think, 9 seminar webinars in 2025, and then 2026 has been a continuation. We've called it the Discovery Series, and we cover topics of interest to several different segments of the population that's our target. So our goal is to create a global community of smart agers. And I've been on many fora talking about what smart aging means, some of the labels that are attached to people who age. I've heard the word keenagers instead of teenagers. I've heard curious agers for people who are always interested. But unfortunately, there is a negative label or negative connotation to aging, and that's part of what we all have to get out there and let people create a life with purpose, and that's our company's goal. And the way we do it is through a combination of projects. So we bring people and partners together, and there are projects in various areas. We call them 4 pillars, which are learn, earn, give, and grow. Most of you who have been on these sessions have heard that before. And when we did the Discovery series of webinars for 2026, these were the topics that came up: adventure, wellness, finance, and others, as topics of high interest. So we have slowly started curating both webinars and activities. And on the next slide, you'll start seeing the number of things that are either just been completed or ongoing. And we've tried to put that into a framework of the earn, learn, give, and grow, and combine it with various areas that they belong. And some of these could move around a little bit, but essentially we have completed a whole bunch of webinars on various topics. We have treks that have been completed. We are talking about elder folks being into startup companies. We're talking about treks getting out in the mountains. So you'll see the number of treks that have been completed. We've had webinars which talk about how to get prepared for these trips, etc. And what we've observed is the interest in adventure, finance seems to be quite high, and wellness, of course. So let me just talk on the right-hand side about a few things that are coming up. You can see the things that have already been completed in the center. On the right, you'll see a workshop that's coming up called, this is in the area of wellness. Karen Reiter, who presented earlier, she is a wellness expert from Israel, and she'll be in Singapore, so she'll be doing that. There's a retreat coming up in Batam in August, and then we're looking at a Tranquility Conclave. This will be most likely in India, in Manali. Okay. We've got several treks coming up as well. There's one in Indonesia in August. There's a Goshala trek coming up on the 28th to 9th of October. There's a Hamta circuit trek. There's a Sandakphu trek. Some of these, the first one is in Indonesia, second 2 are in India. The third one is a combination of India and Nepal. But what I'm trying to highlight here is the number of activities are growing, and we will keep this active, and we will be launching our website very soon. Okay. With that, I'm going to go straight into the main topic.
Naveen, before you leave, just a quick clarification. I know you and I didn't connect my nighttime. The bottom set of tracks are for 2027, planned for 2027. I know we didn't connect, you and I, sorry. So those are coming up in 2027, and the next time we are together, I will have the exact dates on there. So any interested folks can get in touch with us. And one of the things we will do as a follow-up, I know this is a lot of information, is we will send a summary on our main team. So yeah, look for this. Our intent, like Naveen said, was to bring information to you, which we are doing through the webinars, and then we will be looking to you for sort of a call to action for you to say, okay, these are some of the things that I would like to engage in, and pick from the menu we have in here. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Thanks, Naveen.
Okay. So if you see anything interesting out here in any of our webinars, please feel free to share with your friends. There's also a very interesting scoring assessment called Life 2.0, and you could go to Life 2.0 score app and take this assessment. We've got quite a few people who've taken the assessment so far, and we've got a good database of what baseline is in terms of how prepared you are for Life 2.0. That said, I will take you to the topic for the day. And this is something that is impacting the global workplace. And every country that I've been to, people are talking about fractional work. And we were going to have Bhavana Moriani from Wisdom Circle to talk about it. Unfortunately, she has had a medical procedure done last night, so she is on anesthesia, and we've been lucky that Kripa Patel has agreed to step in and present. So unfortunately, these slides are a little new to her, but not the material, meaning not the life itself. She's living the life of a fractional worker, and to have her walk through and an introduction. By the way, I was just talking to her before you guys came from where she is from, and it's a very hard question for her to answer as well, like many of us. She was many generations ago from India, then in Africa, then in England, and then Australia, and now in Singapore. So she's got a variety of experiences to share. And with that, I will pass it over to Kripa.
Thank you, Naveen. So hello to all of you that's joined. Just as a very quick background about me, I am a ICF-certified life and wellness coach, and everything, Naveen, you just said really resonates with me in that journey as well. My background is over 25 years of experience in banking across different countries within technology, financial markets, investment banking, digital assets, before I actually founded Giraffe Sen. So what I do is I look from the outside, look back in, and going back to Naveen's point, I am living the life. So whilst this is my identity, my other identity is I'm a yoga instructor, I'm a sound healer, but I'm also an AI consultant. So you won't see that on my social media. I am doing AI consulting on the side, but it's like the fractional work. So as we speak about fractional working, that is what I am. I also enjoy trekking, fitness, and I heard Mushmi say that you're going to be doing those adventures in 2027. I just took a bunch of, let's say, a bit more aged people to Annapurna Base Camp last year, and I'm taking some people to Gokyo Lake this year as well. So my journey is about taking people on the physical and metaphorical journey. But here today, we're going to talk about the experience of fractional working. If we can go to the next slide. Right. So we've touched on, the world is changing, right? So we had all this, desire of working in different industries, long period of time. But now our experience that we have in the world pays off in a very different way. I chose to have and live a life of fulfillment and freedom. And that means that I'm able to go into the journey of using my senior expertise and offer it out. I'm working in an insurance company on the side, doing that consulting or doing that fractional work. We'll come to the distinguishing between the two in a short while. So that is the direction the world is changing, and it's important for us to go with that journey rather than stay behind that journey. If we want to just go to the next slide, one of the real important factors on the next slide, one of the real important factors And the thing that I love about this whole journey now is it's not about whether I'm the winner or the loser, or the organization is the winner or the loser. We're in it, we're all in a win-win here. Me as a professional, I've got my decades of experience. I come into the organization with my terms. I do the meaningful work. For me, time is an asset, and I want to use my time wisely. Whether I do it 9 to 6 or whether I want to do it in my own hours, it's high impact and it's meaningful and it's using my time wisely. I choose to do the flexible work the days I feel that the work is needed. I do my business when the work's not needed. How does the organization win as well? They get to leverage off me as an expert. They also have that flexibility. They don't have me tied to their headcount, their payroll, etc. So I am dedicated to achieve what their goals are. I take the accountability and I continue with it. I'm just curious for the people that are participating here, if you can just maybe quickly unmute yourself and tell me or share with us what is your situation, whether it's 1 word, 2 word, what you want to get out of this talk today on fractional working. And don't
Can
be
I
shy
start?
about unmuting us. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Wisdom. I am 62 years young. There are some experience that you have. I am actually having and learning new things. This coming July, I'm attached to a caregiver specialist, which I have my experiences. I would like to pursue my next years like you, have plenty of freedom, blissful life, very organized and well-managed life. Live a life where you are a role model to me and then to all others. Thank you.
Wisdom, thank you so much for sharing. Does anybody else have anything else?
Kripa, I would like to know how you blend in with the non-fractional people or the full-time folks within the company.
Interesting. Okay, so let's go back to first the question coming from Wisdom, right? Wisdom, I think we are all role models to each other. One of the things is knowing who you really are and knowing what you want out there. So going out and finding what satisfies you and upskilling yourself, continuing to upskill yourself. If you recall, I mentioned about yoga teacher sound. I do sound healing. I do pranic healing. I'm also a public speaker. I do all these other things, but that's because of choice. I chose to put time as a critical asset and chose to use time wisely in working for an organization. And I chose to use time to upskill myself and continue to upskill myself in the way that I desire. I hope that helps your question, Wisdom. And then going back to Mushmi, your point, how do you blend? That's really, really interesting. One of the challenges for me as well has been a year ago, I left the world of corporate and I was so well connected in that world. And I thought, yeah, life is going to be easy. But actually, it's taken me over 6 years to build up my portfolio on the side stuff, which is my coaching business, which is everything I mentioned. And to do that, I thought it would be simple. But actually, we do have to proactively go out there, go share their stories with others, go and network, go connect. And we do need to find that navigation for organizations, whether it's, this organization, 25 years more, whether it's Wisdom Circle, whatever environment it is, to be able to connect with those right people, the like-minded people. There are still a lot of people, and we'll look at the data points in a little while. There are a lot of people who are still in that old style of working full time. And then there are a lot of people like us here who are looking for that fulfillment, freedom journey and that balance. Right? Mushmi, does that answer?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
My one also
Anybody
very
else?
well answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Wisdom. Anyone else that wants to share or ask anything, any questions as we go? Okay. Right. So we are now, so I come into work, do my fractional work in a very happy place. They are happy, I am happy, no complaints. That takes me to the next slide. Right. So in the next slide, we talk about what is fractional, what is contract, what is consulting, and what is advisory. We could spend a lot of time deep diving into all of this, and unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time right now. But if we just magnify on the fractional part, and I'll tell you, I'll call myself fractional and I'll tell you what I have. And maybe somebody may say that that's slightly different, but that's okay. We don't mind what the reality is. So what do? I come in here. I'm part of the senior team. I'm given the empowerment to make the decision. I'm here as an AI consultant. I go collaborate and do what's best for the organization. So even though I'm not attached to the organization, my heart is still in the organization. I'm accountable for the outcome as well and the delivery. But the best part of it is I can come in 3 days, I can come in 2 days, I can come in 4 days. I can lengthen it out to the end of the year. I can reduce it. I can also go and do my mountain trekking and come back again. So that's what is the super satisfying part of it. I don't have elder parents to care for, but if I did, at least you can get that balance as well. I have, reasonable sized children who are independent, so I don't have to worry. But if you needed that, we get that balance. My duration is very flexible. It's not tied that it has to be 3 months, 4 months. It's not a fixed bid basis contract kind of thing. And I get paid based on the agreement that we just made. So that is the journey that I am seeing with the fractional work as an individual. I didn't go in with that as a title. I'm looking for fractional, but I went in with the fact that I was looking for this kind of journey. And this is what I have found. I could continue with doing this and another client, but actually I'm doing this and I'm running my super satisfying, happy business as well on the side. So I feel like I am living maybe what we call the retirement life in a happy way, but I still get an income flow coming through. And that is something that's also important as we get through this stage. We may not have that financial stability. We may still have that desire, or we still want to energize with the right kind of caliber of people. And this is where fractional comes into it, and it gives us that.
So, quick question, Kripa. What about
Yeah.
the legal side of things? Is it okay to do fractional work in all countries? Or are some countries easier to do legally to do it as opposed to just moonlighting or something?
Look, one of my personal focuses of my life journey was I want to be able to be anywhere, not somewhere. So I would like to know the answer for that as well. But what I do know is at the moment, I'm just going for the countries that I know I have the visas in, for example. And now I am also, I own a business here. So my company is onboarded with the insurance company. So I know I have that as a night, as a kind of fixed thing. I also know with this company, if I was going to be working in different countries, I could work and continue doing this. However, if I was in a banking organization, because of my experience in banking, I know I wouldn't. So I think the legal side of it depends on the organization that you're going to go for and also how you set up your business as well. I don't know if we have a word for nomad for our generation, but how do the nomads do it is something that I would like to explore personally as well at some point, and maybe that's another 2-year window for me to explore that. So I don't have the full answer for you, Naveen, but a really good question that I would also like to get answered. Cool. Right, so now we will just touch on some of the numbers here, right? Or actually not even the numbers. Where are we now? It's great that we are part of these conversations, part of this engagement from here, because it's all happening. There is that whole, the world is changing. I feel with the world of AI happening, there will be more fractional. There will be more fractional opportunities. So really, AI combined with fractional, let's get on that bus. Let's get on that bus. Let's go through the journey. Let's stay on that journey together with this. As Mushmi touched on, let's connect with the right people. You know, it's not the same as the world that we were in. That is also valuable, but let's connect with the right people that are like-minded and also thinking that different thought.
These fuckers have still not see the flight coming back.
Hi, okay. So without actually to the point, without touching on the numbers, let's just make sure that we are it's the journey is here, the fractional journey is here. So let's continue with that as well. And my final slide, promise I stop talking shortly. But again, let's just look at these examples of the kind of types of people, right? And the percentage of people who are shifting. So you've got this 82.8, very high number of percent, 15 years of experience before going fractional. I wish I had done that. I wish somebody had given me that guidance. I would have been here. I won't say my age, but I've done over 25 years. So I would have been here 10 years ago, and God knows where I could have been by now as well, in a much more happier, living that life, climbing mountains, doing yoga journey. There are 86% people have no plans to return to work full time. That's an important parameter as well. The question I would always ask, what is their plan? Because the Japanese, for example, live a long life, the ikigai, because they continue, I use the word quote, working, but working does not mean doing a full-time job. Working means whether it's doing their seasonal gardening or something that's much more satisfying and relevant, right? And then you have 80% of Wisdom Circle pros, as an example, aged between 55 and 65. And these people, oh, sorry, the screen's changed. Yeah. And these people are also going through that journey of finding what is that direction. And then you've got 66% who say prefer part-time roles. And I'm curious to know, when they say prefer part-time roles, could it be prefer part-time roles and or fractional roles, or what is that really? I'll just take a breath. Anyone got anything that they want to add, share, any perspectives, questions that comes to their mind?
So, Kripa, just a quick question. When you start making this journey, I mean, for people on the call, or if they're going to talk to other people, what are the baby steps one should take to get onto the fractional journey?
Yeah, I I will share my baby steps I took. My baby steps was understanding who I am, what I am, what is it that's important to me in life. Because then I created that long-term vision. And finding that long-term vision enabled me to then figure out what is my path and what are the skills I need. So it's taken me maybe 15 years ago, I started thinking about that long term. Then 6 years ago, I started rethinking about that long term. And I started building my toolbox. That toolbox, you try things out. If it doesn't work, you try something else out. If that doesn't work, you try something else out. Don't give up on trying, because as we get older, we are also getting wiser and we can try things, we can learn things. That playground trying things will then enable you to figure out what is it that you want that vision to look like and what is that fractional. For me, the importance of the fractional is it aligns to me as an individual, as my purpose. I love what I do it with love. That's important to me. Maybe somebody else wants to go into that fractional and really do that really hard, horrible, challenging, political kind of work, and then let go after that fractional. So it's really knowing what is it you want, what is it that drives you, and what is important in that kind of 25-year of your life phase.
Yeah, I mean, even on this call and several other people I've talked to, sometimes they want to go back to their earlier life because that's the one they've known and that's the one they miss. Sometimes it's like, hey, listen, I couldn't find a job, so I got to do something. I'm compelled to do something. So there are different motivations that I see for going to a fractional or consulting kind of thing. But how many people have you met who gone back to their old roles because either they couldn't find something or they didn't enjoy it, and they said, my older version of myself is the best version. Have you met anybody like that, or have you encountered that
Yeah,
situation?
you see a lot of that, and that's because we're not prepared enough, right? Because a lot of people leave work because suddenly something happens. But if we
Hmm.
plan a little bit, then we can actually basically, and if we think ahead and plan ahead, then we can be ready for that journey. And that's one of the things that I feel that I feel super satisfied that I feel I've planned for it. But I have roller coaster moments in my life where I think, oh my God, I should just go back to the banking sector. It's easier. I'll give you the analogy that I love. It's for us when we're working in that old world, we're like in the zoo. We're well contained, we're well looked after. And then we are released into the jungle. And when we're in the jungle, we can be free and find what we want. But it's hard work. We got to go and find that meat. We got to go and explore. We got to go and search, right? Are you ready for that? And the other thing is when I found myself in that jungle, I remembered tap into your old intuition, tap into yourself because you know how to find that answer. And when I do that and I tap into my inner self, and that goes to the spirituality angle, I can find that answer. We shouldn't give up so fast. Let's not just go back to the zoo because nothing else is in the jungle. Let's stay in the jungle, and we've got much more space to cover off there.
Kripa, this is so relevant. Everything I seem to resonate with everything you've talked about. On an earlier slide, you had there were 4 different kinds of engagement: fractional, contract. Could you speak a little bit more to that? I mean, I've also been trying to find myself in that, yes, conversation.
Yeah, look, I think that would end up a longer, whole deeper conversation. It's a tough one, right? I find also if it's about how we feel and how we also label it ourselves. So I can call myself fractional with what I'm doing. I can call myself consultant with what I'm doing. I can call myself a contractor. Main purpose for me right now is how do I feel? I feel free. I feel liberated. And for me, that is falling into that parameter of the fractional side. It could be this I think Mushmi could be actually a long conversation. And unfortunately, right now, we won't have the time to go into that. But you and I can reconnect and talk about it. You're on mute.
I was going to say, it sounds like I have to come down for a coffee to your house. That's kind of what I am.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. On that note, I do have to apologize because I have to go into my fractional job and dial into a meeting. But I hope that was insightful for all of you. I hope it's helpful. If I'm happy to connect with anybody, talk about it more. We can share ideas, connect, whatever we want.
Okay. Thanks, Kripa, for stepping in at really, really short notice. And I know last night you and I were talking about what do we need to cover, and appreciate you taking a slice out of your day to be with us. Okay, so I'll handle the rest of the call from here. No worries. So I would like to ask few of you. I mean, I know Radha has made some transitions. I know Vipin's made some transitions. And Gopo's made some transitions. Would you guys care, because you made transitions not just in one country, but multiple countries, multiple careers? Could you just share a little bit of your journey on, because it's a path towards fractionalization, consulting, and love to hear. Maybe you'll start with you, Radha.
Yeah, hey Naveen. Yeah, I'm happy to share. And actually, I had a question for Kripa, but or the next speaker. So I think my journey and Jepals, as you know, as full-time physicians, we sort of at 55 decided that we wanted to stop cold turkey, but that didn't happen. We stopped and then realized that was the only skill set we have, and so both of us have gone back to part-time working physicians, for which we are very happy and grateful for the time. With a subtle difference, which is what I wanted to ask, is when you do fractionalization, and the way she explained it, at least, is you do a chunk of work for a period of time and then you're done with. But in specialty of mine, like mine, I'm endocrinology, and also the type of job that I have chosen, I do telemedicine. There's ongoing continuity of care with the patients. So I'm not one that sees them for a week and, then doesn't go back to that same place. So I'm at a place where I offer telemedicine to them. And so I think one of the problems is it doesn't sound like fraction, because I have to be committed to continue to care for the patients. And so sometimes it comes in the way of travel or, those things. And I have to kind of juggle around that time. So it's not so cut and dry. And then, how do you navigate doing other things and giving quality when you're doing something part-time where it is still ongoing? I think that's one of the things I always struggle with, is the sense of guilt that maybe, not committed fully enough for my part-time telemedicine position. They seem to be happy, but that's just me internally. So I think that's one of the things I kind of want to talk about. And of course, different countries, we split time between India and the US. And, so even with that, I have to accommodate day schedules and night schedules and work around that. But at the end of it, I think it's still very gratifying that I'm still able to do what I'm able to do. And I think the third struggle I have is diversifying my skills. Is I think for some people that transition is easy. They have a set of things that they're passionate about and they move on. But when you don't know any other calling, sometimes that transition is difficult for lack of something equally, that's of value to you that you can transition into. So I'd love to hear what others have to say as well.
I think you hit two difficult issues, Radha. One is, how do you disconnect when you're in the caregiving space? And then second is, if your own skills don't have multiplicity of options. So I think very good. Vipin or Jensen,
Yeah.
wisdom, anybody want to share?
Yeah, Naveen, this Vipin, yeah, maybe I go next.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I think for me, a couple of things that actually because I'm probably in a different phase of my life than many of the, you people on the call. So, I don't mind sharing my age, I'm 66 now. And when I was approaching the retirement age, at least for a few years, I was discussing, preparing for a sort of a role within the company, uh, which could be along the fractional role, within the company itself that I was working with, right? So I sort of based that over the last few years that I worked. But, the expectation was, I would continue to do 100%, and that did not really work for me, right? So I sort of stepped aside and I looked at the horizon, where I could, find something that matches my skills, what I was capable of doing, right? What I love to do still, but only at a fraction of my time, right? So I hit upon a company that I used to work for. I changed the sites. I was now on the other side of the table, but only with a 20% of my time commitment, right? And that is also very, very flexible. So I could do it from wherever I was at my own time. There are no deadlines, so to speak, right? And it also allows me to, do two other things that I really want to do with focus of my own fitness. I'm at 66, much fitter than what I was 10 years ago, right? So that's something that I'm working on. And the other thing that it also allows me to do is to work on a social impact project, right? That I am very, very passionate about, right? So I would say, Naveen, I think, and others on the call, three, one that allows me to, keep my bills paid. Then number two allows me to, focus on my own fitness, and also, something that I'm really passionate. I'm very, very, seriously working on the social impact project as well. So I think that's a quick summary, Naveen. Yeah.
Thanks, Vipin. It's very inspiring. So what is the social impact project you're so passionate about?
So, Naveen, I think you and I have spoken. I think it's very difficult to explain, clearly. So I'm struggling to how to describe, but at the bare minimum, what I would say would be, usually the focus is on the elders, but I'm trying to set the focus on the caregivers. I mean, when you take care of the caregivers, you basically, help everyone, right? So uh, I have, already now incorporated my company, which is called Kampong Plus. So we are trying to build, the neighborhood spirit all again and using technology, and that's the plus part for the Kampong, right? So using technology to help, build the neighborhood spirit all over again. That's a quick summary, Naveen. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, Jensen, wisdom, would you like to share?
Yes, I would like to share. I'm driving now, but I can share what I have currently because of the work that I'm in with the senior citizen. It's the same area where I do my real estate. It's Bangsa. Singaporean know Bangsa very well. So to me, it's like I I have a lot of free hand to call agency with my colleague and anybody who is in real estate. Bangsa is a posh area where we have a single story terrace and a double story bungalow, shop lot, etc., etc. So to me, it's like when I'm willing to share my 50% or 75% away, I still get something. So the fraction, I did not know that I'm already in the fraction, which our speaker just kindly shared, you see, just now. So really appreciate that I'm already stepped into the fraction rather than I am pursuing. So kindly look into whether the slide can be, I could print them in A3 and then focus that and then able to derive what our speaker is enjoying her life with. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm happy to share the slides, Wisdom. There is one nuance that everybody has to be aware of. That is, in some countries, working fractional is not still legal because of the contracts. If you have an employment contract, it does not allow you to be employed by another company. So there's a subtle difference between being a consultant versus a fractional employee. Some countries have moved very far along on that line, where you can sign multiple employee contracts as a fractional, whereas some countries have not. So that's a legal nuance that everybody should think about. Jensen, you were ready to go, so let's pull the trigger on you, Jensen.
Hello, good morning. I'm Jensen here. So I think for myself, I allowed myself permission to stretch. I think back in 2020, where I started off as a self-employed. Just a little bit history about myself. I'm a defense engineer for the past 18 years. Then I did a few career switch to healthcare, social service sector. Then currently, I'm more like pursuing my own passion, I would say purposeful endeavors. So my social impact currently is on this new startup and also a non-profit on this recovery college is to help job seekers with mental health conditions or person in recovery to seek gainful employment. So we will be I will be the bridge between the different government between the government, the employers, particular the hiring managers, and the community partners. So I would say it has not been easy, but I think it's something worth you know at something very meaningful and worthwhile to pursue. I think for myself to see the impact. So currently I work on my own terms. I would say I set my own KPI, and I think it's not challenge. It's pretty quite challenging, but I I don't give up that easily lah. So this is something that I want to share.
Okay. Thanks, Jensen. I think, Radha, you found an answer without realizing it. I think three people said their next phase involves social impact. And that's one area that does not require a specialized skill as a professional skill. All it requires is compassion and a desire to do good, I guess. So, I mean,
actually,
Jansen said this, Wisdom said this, and Vipin said it.
yeah, very interesting to listen to all three of them and all three spheres that really resonate with me as well. So maybe we can work something out, you know. I think
Absolutely.
yeah. No, it's very, and I think one of the challenges also, Naveen, as you know, is if you are located in one place and your efforts are there, but if you're in multiple places, then the question always comes as the remote management of some of these issues. And I think that's also one part of the challenge that we struggle with is you start something, and then if you have to have someone else take care of it, you have to have that appropriate personnel. So I don't know how you all deal with that. I'm sure all of you travel and are in multiple places, but when you start a social project, what does continuity look like to you?
Anybody want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, Naveen, maybe I can. So, one of the things that, we are also, deliberately designing in the project that we are working on is a sort of a scaling, right? So, it can be scaled, it depends on what you want to really do, how much resources you have, right? And we are also going to use technology to handle, what Radha mentioned in terms of, remote, a presence that you may have sometime, right? So one of the use case that we have is using technology, AI. We're just going to connect the volunteers with the elders in the neighborhood, right? So we're just using technology to do a smart matching, and which can be done using the platform. You don't have to be there, right? You just have to come up with the idea and use technology to manage on the ground, right? So that's one thing that you could really do, rather to facilitate based on how much you want to contribute, rather. Yeah.
And talking about
Sorry, but Vipin, can you go a little bit more in detail about what you're doing?
So, like I'll give you a small, pilot that we are doing. I stay in Depot Road, right? So, I connected with the, member of parliament in Depot Road. Through her, I went to the PAP Center director. From there, I reached out to the AAC Active Aging Center. And I have a list of 1,400 seniors that the AAC is supposed to engage, right? And I live in a condo, so I did a small survey. I have 80 volunteers, and I'm using technology to just match, these 80 volunteers to what the 1,400 seniors need in the neighborhood, right? So,
Okay.
so that's one of the use case, rather that I have, right? So I'm doing a small pilot, to get this off the ground, right? Yeah.
Okay, okay. That's very interesting. In fact, we have a similar situation where my in-laws live. They have 3,000 apartments, and they have, of course, a lot of seniors. It's mixed age groups. So there's this one gentleman who's done a phenomenal job of converting a portion of his house to a medical equipment center. So people who have used stuff and don't have a need for it anymore, he started small, obviously, and then he started posting it on the common WhatsApp group. And then when someone has a need, then they come and take it. And now to the point, he's gone to the point of having in his house things like hospital beds, walkers, respirator, the whole 9 yards, so that you can loan. He loans out. It's completely free of cost. And it's built goodwill, so people use it, then they give their stuff. And that's I think that has worked remarkably well for that community. And channelizing resources like who do you go to for endocrinology here, or if you want this testing done, or if you have a medical emergency, who can you call if there's no one at home that's a part of the community and they take responsibility. So that community has been very vibrant with helping the senior citizens, and also to the volunteers coming in and spending time.
Very interesting, Radha. I think you're based in Singapore, right?
She's in the US. She's in
Oh,
California.
okay.
I mean,
Okay, I see that.
she shuttles between California and India sometimes.
And
Okay.
Bang.
Yeah, it would be fun to catch up with her, Naveen, next time she's here. I think let's do that.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
I mean, this group, all of you have the numbers. I'll share it
Yep,
again.
yep,
And we'll
yep.
also, Wisdom asked if I can share the slides. Absolutely, we'll send the slides out. But talking about moving bases, Radha talked about moving. I was wondering if Gopu, if you could share your story of, your reinvention once and reinvention again, and moving from Singapore to Qatar to Australia. That's quite a story.
Well, okay, thanks, Naveen. Hello, everyone. So, well, it's not just moving countries, I've moved industries. I was in the military for 27 years, and then I moved into the public sector. I was in military aviation primarily, and leadership development towards the tail end of it. And then I moved on to biomedical sciences. And then I moved into ship repair, offshore and onshore industrial engineering. And now I'm back to aviation. So, and that then straddles Singapore, Qatar, and Australia. I think at the end of the day, there are two things that I would just take a look at it as important. One is if you keep your mind open, what we all tend to accumulate is a whole lot of skills, knowledge, and experience that we could move across industries, across professions, across even countries, industries, so on and so forth. Number one. Number two is really the path that we want to take, be it fractional or full-time work or hobby or part-time. I think the fundamental thing is that what is the purpose of what you're pursuing? Understanding that, and then having priorities. It doesn't mean that everything is got to pay, but some of it is something that you can pay back to. What do I mean by that? Like, for example, of course, we all need to get paid for the work that we do. So whether it's fractional work or turning a hobby into a full-time gig or part-time gig, or as the speaker has mentioned, she's found her purpose. So she's found a priority. So she finds that, fractional work works for her. I don't think it's really determined by age, but it's more interesting to take a look at a self-reflection, do that first, get an idea on the purpose and the priorities, what sits with you. I'll give you a little bit of an example. I've been working full time across all these industries, and I worked with different nationalities, transitioned into totally different economies and regimes, if you like, management or countries and stuff like that. But what's interesting is if you keep your mind open, you will be able to pursue with purpose. Apart from that, I also incidentally happen to find a motivation for scribbling, which some call poetry. So some of them, Naveen calls me poet, but I don't think I'm a poet. But I found a niche in writing, speaking at events, fitness, and volunteering. So this, if you want to consider it in the fractional workspace, yes, it makes sense, but not all of them are paying me apart from my full-time job. So it's actually looking into that toolbox that the speaker spoke about, discovering what drives you and what is it that you can drive at. So it's similar to doing what I love and love what I do that the speaker mentioned. So this is what I would say in this limited time. So thank you.
I think that's awesome. I mean, Gopu's very, very humble. He's a great poet, and some of his readings really bring tears to your eyes sometimes. Okay, let me just before we have about 6 minutes more, I want to touch upon a couple of things here, and then I'll go back to Radha's question because Kripa is back on. So the thing that I wanted to talk about is Wisdom Circle. I mean, Bhavana is representing Wisdom Circle, and Neeraj is the CEO, and he has taken it upon himself. He's a good friend of mine. He has taken it upon himself to, ignite the wisdom economy, as he calls it. And that is all of us here on this call. That is, we have years and years of experience. Some people call it crystalline knowledge. And how do we ensure the world does not let go of all of this expertise? Have this go to waste, right? Because as soon as you leave, you have a situation where your built-up skill sets just start, disappearing and becoming irrelevant. So Wisdom Circle has about 130,000 professionals on their network, and they're seeking more organizations to hire, and they place people. So if you have any desire to get back into fractional leadership, mentoring, and project, you've got project-based expertise, please reach out to the folks at Wisdom Circle. They'll help you kind of reframe all of your experience in a way that people, typically everybody wants to write it on their resume, but they do a really good job of reframing your experience and finding a sweet spot. And in many cases, you all spoke about not just your past experience, but there's a passion that you have. In a couple of cases, it was about social impact. So how do you find that sweet spot and then learn from others? So please feel free to join Wisdom Circle. In the slide set, there will be a QR code that you can scan and connect. Okay. And if you would like to join in the second session, which is at 6 p.m. in Singapore, I welcome you to join that session because Bhavana hopefully will be offer medication and anesthesia, and she can address many of these slides much better than I did. But back to a question, Kripa, Radha had a question for you. She is in the healthcare space, and her question was, she's endocrinologist and now doing part-time work, but disengaging from her line of work is very hard because you have patients under your care. And even if you choose to work part-time, it's not like in other areas where you can say, okay, I'm done and I'm going to go travel or I'm going to do something else. So her question was, how do you disengage in certain professions? Radha, I hope I said that right.
I think it's hard for me to compare because I don't obviously have that kind of limitation. But one thing I did find I had to do was I had to take a sabbatical at one point, and that sabbatical meant I was able to switch off. And in that 1 year, everyone asked me, "What's your plan?" And my plan was simple. My plan was I had no plan. That was my plan, just to live in the moment and live in the journey. And that meant I took a big risk. I had to let go of everything and continue with just trusting my journey. It's like I said, it's hard for me to understand because obviously you've got your ongoing clients, and what does it mean? Maybe there is another way of resolving it, temporary handing over to somebody. I'm not sure. Maybe something that we can talk about, explore, get ideas on. It's a tough one. It is not easy. The next phase of letting go for me was when I actually, last year, when I actually said to the organization, I do want to like leave completely, is a hard one because once you say that, you're like, am I doing the right thing? I think somebody asked earlier, do you go back again? And it's not easy just to cut that cord, to disconnect. But you've got to just take that chance because if we don't try, we will never know. We can always find our way back again, but we've got to try and take that step forward. So I know we have a really different kind of experience or different challenge, but yeah, I hope that helps, Radha. I see you on mute.
Yes. Yeah, I think that helps. Then I think that's a constant, struggle that we have is drawing these boundaries and, figuring out sort of a happy medium of things. And I think there's just in terms of the telemedicine I do is a very rurally served area, and it is in a sort of sense something that is helpful to them because they don't have access to this care otherwise. But then it also, as I said, these are not one-off patients that you continue to have to provide for them. So there's that little sense of guilt if you take extended times and off and things like that. So I think we all navigate it the best we can, and at some point say that some service is probably better than none, but I think that's the ethical dilemma in our heads as especially after you come from a full-time work. When you go part-time, sometimes you question that is the quality of service the same in a situation like this.
I think the key word that you touched on is guilty, that guilty feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we get very challenged. We challenge, and then we don't look after ourselves because we feel guilty. But actually, we need to think about what is good for us as well. In an indirect way, charity starts at home, or the other way is 6 years ago when I took a big journey, I stepped away and I left Singapore and went to Nepal alone. And I stayed there on a one-way ticket. And I had to say to my daughter, I have to go and put my own oxygen mask on myself. And sometimes we have to be selfish and just take that plunge. My daughter was going through IB at that time, but I had to do it. And that made me a better person when I came back. So sometimes that guilty, we just got to figure a way how to overcome that.
Wow, that's quite powerful to think that during IB you were able to get out and get your own oxygen mask on.
Yeah, and she did well. So she's now training to be a dentist. So can't complain. It worked.
Awesome, guys. We're 2 minutes over time, so I'm going to wrap up the call. Julie will share all of the slides, and if you guys are okay with this, I know we had quite an interactive session. I know many of you personally, and if you just share your own stories and get in touch with one another, you'll find so much inspiration. So if you guys are okay, let Julie know, and she will be happy to share the numbers on the group as well. So appreciate all of you joining in. And if you are keen to talk to Bhavana, please join on the 6 p.m. session as well. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Naveen. Thanks, Kripa. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.